Hello again, it's Tom here and welcome back to Magic Woodworking. So today I'm going to show just how easy it is to get a good finish when painting or varnishing plywood or MDF. And for those of you who already know how to paint board material, stay right there, keep watching. You might pick up on a few tips and tricks along the way you didn't even think of. So if that's something you'd like to see, check this out. So recently on the channel I made a video about how to make MDF cabinets, and afterwards I got several questions and comments about how did I finish and paint them. So I thought the easiest way is to go through, make a video and show you just how I did it. Now I know it's not the most interesting of subjects, but if you want your project to look any good, it's something you need to know. Now, as the old adage goes, if you can piss you can paint, which is very true. But it doesn't mean to say it looks any bloody good. So let me show you exactly what you need to know to finish your project and make it look like a pro. Okay then, so firstly, what paint? For the primer undercoat, which is what you will need for MDF and plywood, I use Wheather. It's a name brand, it's one of the best ones going. There are cheaper versions which you can get away with, but the Wheather does come with a stain blocker. Now the stain blocker is good because plywood and MDF both get a yellowy tinge appear where the end grain is. I don't know if this is down to the glues or what, but it does appear. So I do like Wheather for that reason. As for the top coats, just a good quality interior wood paint. This one's a Leyland trade paint. It's still a good paint though. There are better ones obviously. But on some occasions I've even used emulsion, but it's entirely up to you. And this one is a satin. So that's the paint. Now, applying it, I just get a general 2-inch brush, preferably one where the bristles don't come out too easily, and a small roller and sponge heads. Now, these sponge heads, you should have one come with a roller. You can buy packs of 5, they're relatively cheap, as you know. Just slide them on and you're ready to go. Do not use the wall head. Wall is for walls or whatever, but for cabinets you want the sponge. It does a much better finish. Now, with the MDF itself, you need to prep it. Now, just because it's nice and smooth, run your hands over it, because your hands will feel a lot more than your eyes will see. Your eyes will see it when you've painted it if there's a little hole or something or a blemish, but your hands generally will feel it before your eyes will see it. Next, get a piece of sandpaper, don't go crazy, just take the sharp edge off all the way around. The reason for it, paint will not stick to a sharp edge. You want to be just fractionally giving it a slight round. Don't go crazy and round it off, you know, like give it a bull nose. Just take the sharp edge off to apply the paint. Then I like to use cookies. Calm down. These are bench cookies, you can't eat them fatty. What they do, it keeps the board off the work surface and stops it slipping. It's a perfect thing for you to apply the paint onto the edges without catching the bottom surface, and stops it all sticking and everything else. If you do want to buy bench cookies, that's fine. Just little blocks of wood, anything you got to hand, just keep it off the surface so you can get to all the edges in one go. Just makes your life a lot easier. Now, I'll apply some paint and we'll check out the next stage. If you're enjoying this video and you'd like to support me, please give me a thumbs up, or better yet, subscribe down there. It really helps the channel, and better yet, it makes YouTube show this to more people like yourselves. Anyway, enough about me, let's get back to the painting. Okay, once you've rubbed the sharp edges off, you need to prep the MDF ready for paint. So me personally, I like to use an airline, blow it all off, like so. Now I know what you're going to say, but Tom, I haven't got an airline. That's fine. Use the wife's vacuum cleaner, hoover it off, then get a rag, because no matter how much you blow it or use the vacuum on it or whatever, you'll still have residual dust. Always give it a wipe. You'll be surprised. See the dust come out of that? How much more dust you'll get off it. Do that all the way around. Now you're ready for paint. With the paint, load your roller. Don't go crazy. And I just want you to apply it to the edge. And the reason for this is when you paint the edge of MDF and plywood, the grain will expand and raise up, and that's when you sand it. Otherwise, if you sand it beforehand, all that happen is you apply the paint, which is water-based by the way, the grain will soak it up, and everything you've done is a complete waste of time because it's now rough as a badger's ass again. So as you can see, I've run the paint all the way around on the edges, a little bit more there, look. There we go. Allow that to dry. In about 30 minutes we give it a rub down, then we paint the whole thing. Okay then, so once your primer undercoat has dried on the edges, it's going to feel rough. So what you need to do is get a 120 grit sandpaper and go around the edges, taking the roughness off. Make sure you feel it as you go. Don't go crazy, just the point where it feels smooth. And then afterwards repeat the procedure of blowing it off or using your hoover, vacuum cleaner to remove the majority of the dust, then rag it and get the worst off there. Also at this point, this is where you want to be checking for your blemishes or screw holes, whatever, and this is when you need to fill them. So with the filling, always mix more than you need. And the most important thing about this is obviously use wood filler. You need to overfill the hole. So don't fill it level with it, because when it cures, it will shrink back, leaving a concaved or a cup in the MDF or plywood, which you'll see when you paint it. If you leave it proud and then sand it back, it'll be completely flush, and when you paint it you'll never see it again, as I will demonstrate now. So there are the holes, plenty of filler, don't be shy with it. At the end of the day, if you're using a little orbit sander, it isn't like you've got to do the work, the sander will do the work to take it down. And as you can see, that's above the surface. Leave that to cure, and I'll show you in just a moment. When you sand it down, it'll be completely smooth, paint over it, you'll never see it again. Now the filler has cured, let's sand it back. Now as you saw, that took seconds, and that is the finish. Nice and smooth, you'll never know. Now, so let's imagine you've now filled all your blemishes and your screw holes. As I said before, we now blow it off. Wipe it over. We've already sanded the edges, as you may recall. So, once again, we're going to use the undercoat, And once again, I'm going to do the edges. Now, when you're putting on the undercoat and all the subsequent coats afterwards, always roller in the same direction. So in other words, don't go across like this and then like this or whatever. Do all of it the same way. Personally, I like to go lengthways. Again, don't be shy with the paint. Get plenty on. But equally, you don't want pools of paint on your MDF. Again, apply it to the edges, like so. And normally, what I do is every coat I apply to the edges at the same time. And what that will do is it slowly builds up. Obviously you rub down in between coats, but eventually you won't see that end grain at all. Once you've got it completely covered, one final roll, nice and lightly. Excuse the aeroplane you might hear overhead. As you can see, I'm doing it very lightly, and that's it. You leave that to dry, and then we'll do the rub down of the next coat. But while I'm at it, just to prove a point, I will apply a coat of paint over what I've just filled. And as you can see, you can just about see it through the paint, because obviously it's only one coat, but the MDF itself is nice and flush, and when you have 3 coats, you will never see that again. So let's wait for this to dry, and I'll show you the next step. Okay, now that this coat is dried, let's give it a light rub down. Again, it only needs to be light. You don't want to be taking too much of the paint off. You just want to remove any little bits of dust that got stuck in the paint. Once again, use your blower or your vacuum cleaner to clean off the worst of the dust. And then finally, like before, use your rag just to remove anything that might be just caught. Right. So this is the wood paint. Again, apply it liberally. And once again, all in the same direction. Just got a little bit of grotty paint in there. I usually remove up the edge of the roller, wipe it on your tray, and just roll it back in. Again, allow this to dry, then one more coat with a rub down in between. And that's basically it. With that, you should have a nice smooth finish and a good looking end result. I hope this has helped you, and I will catch you in the next one. Thanks. Bye bye.